Call this meeting to order, and I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session. I move that the board go into closed session to consult with an attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege in accordance with GS 143-318.11A3. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. Okay. Call the meeting back to order, I guess. Cindy, would you like to...
Just want to make sure Lynn is recording.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning. This is a continuation of your June 24th special meeting to discuss the status of fire service contract. The initial draft contract was presented to the fire departments on November 24th, 2015, with a board-established deadline of response and comments back from the departments by January 31st, 2016. From February 11th, the date the county staff received the revised draft of the from the fire department's attorney, until last Thursday, June 23rd, county staff has been in negotiations in an attempt to present an agreement that was both acceptable to the county as well as to the fire departments. Unfortunately, we have not been totally successful. Last Friday when you met, staff felt that all issues had been resolved based upon a meeting with the fire chiefs and members of their respective boards, which was held on Thursday, June 23rd. However, from last Friday until yesterday, additional issues have been brought forward by some of the departments. Your staff believes that we have operated in good faith and have fulfilled our direction from you to the best of our ability. As of this morning, the following fire departments have signed the new agreement: Allen's Crossroad, Jackson, Lanes Creek, New Salem, Sandy Ridge, Stack Road, Springs, and Wingate. We have been advised by the respective fire chief of Beaver Lane that they intend to sign, however, their board does not meet until Thursday evening. Those departments who have indicated they do not intend to sign are Bakers, Hemby Bridge, Fairview, Griffith Road, Stallings, Unionville, Waxhaw, and Wesley Chapel. We have provided you a map, which is also, well, it was going to be on the screen, sorry, that depicts the location of each of the fire districts and their status. The map also depicts whether or not the district included a municipality as well as the area of unincorporated county that is served by each of those districts. I will now turn it over to the chair and board for questions, direction, and discussion. Thank you.
Commissioner Jerry Simpson.
Ms. Cotto, did I understand this Fairview?
Fairview, their chief had originally notified us that they would sign. They
I'm
had.
sorry, not Fairview, New Salem. Did we not receive a?
We did. I may not have read it. I apologize. New Salem we received this
Maybe I was
morning.
just confused.
Yes, thank you for
I
that
have a
correction.
quick question for Jeff. It's my understanding that we are not statutorily obligated to provide funding for fire service. Is that correct? For me, it's been nearly 18 months since we began this process of determining how best to provide fire service to our citizens. As I'm sure you will recall, a part of the discussion over funding centered on this new contract. Since December, staff has been in negotiations with fire department representatives and their legal counsel to attempt to come to terms on a new contract. As with any contract negotiation, no one gets everything they hope for, and concessions have been made by both sides. At this point, if my number's right, 8 departments are satisfied with the current proposed contract, while 6 have yet to agree.
You have 8 who have signed, 1 who has indicated they intend to sign, and 8 who have indicated they do not intend to sign.
We are all aware of the various funding mechanisms we have in place and the differences of opinion as it relates to tax districts, fee districts, and where the responsibility lies in providing this service. I have often said that our county is in a state of transition as we move from a rural to an urban community, and the need or desire, as the case may be, for differing levels of service. I asked staff to do a down and dirty parcel count, and it confirmed my assumption that we are even more of an urban county than realized when it comes to parcels. Of those departments who have yet to sign, 75% of their coverage area as far as parcels are concerned lies within a municipal boundary. Now may be a good time, as we discuss funding and contracts, to examine who is best suited to provide fire service to these rapidly urbanizing areas of the county. As Tip O'Neill said, all politics and the economic decisions associated with those politics are best made at the local level. I will reemphasize that I have tremendous respect and admiration for our firefighters and believe that they have served us well. That said, we may be at a point where fire service is best provided by the municipalities. So, Mr. Chairman, I offer the following motion. Offer a 30-day extension of the proposed contract to these departments to allow them time for further analysis of the terms. Limited revisions possibly may be made based on legal, but we have about reached the point where we are simply negotiating against ourselves, and the majority of the departments have accepted the terms, which I believe is a contract that is fair and equitable. As a part of that motion, I would instruct staff to begin an analysis of the data to identify all parcels lying outside municipal boundaries that are not covered by the new contract, aimed at identifying methods and costs necessary to provide them coverage. For any department choosing to decline the current contract offer after the 30-day extension, I would encourage them to begin negotiations with those municipalities in their coverage area to secure funding for those areas. These departments will continue to operate under their current contract until June 30 of 2017, at which time county funding would be eliminated. It may be that these departments would wish to expand services to portions of the unincorporated areas under a separate contract with the county, or it may fall upon us to develop the means to ensure these citizens receive the minimum level of service.
Okay, any discussion on the motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I agree with the portion that says we extend the contract, extend the negotiations for 30 days, but that needs to be the limit. We're very close, and we need to follow through and get this adjustment. It's also my understanding that by going past July 1st, the current contract is automatically extended, so therefore we continue to have a contract, and that if we come to an agreement in the next 30 days that we can replace the contract with the new contract that's been agreed upon, and also the individuals, departments that have signed can go under the new contract. I know that, as Mr. Simpson said, we've been talking about this for 18 months, and I know that the contract negotiations started back in actually October. But we've come a long way. The first contract that was laid out I found it very offensive for the fire department. So yeah, we've come a long way. We're close. I think most of the agreements that we've come to. But I'd like to go along with the 30-day extension, and then see where we are at the end of that 30-day extension. If we have an agreement, we move forward and thank the volunteer fire departments for their service. If we don't, then we'll have to assess our options. But we will have a contract through this coming year because with the automatic rollover.
I think both of those were covered in my motion. 30-day extension, the contract automatically renews if they have not signed.
I guess the concern I had is about I don't think we're at a point now to tell Unionville to go talk to your municipality. I think we're at the point that we need to go this next 30 days and work out the last, I understand it's one last sticking point, and go forth in that in good faith.
Well, I think my point is that it's been 18 months. We've had a lot of discussion. We've made a lot of concessions. It's time to. We're not required to provide funding, and so we may need to start looking at other options if we can't negotiate a contract.
Well, I understand state statutes, and state statutes aren't necessarily the best thing for the people. I think we have a moral obligation to ensure our citizens are protected, and I think our volunteer fire departments has done an exceptional job of doing that over the past 60 years.
And that is included in the motion that we will seek whatever means necessary to ensure that all citizens are covered.
I think if I understand Commissioner Jerry Simpson's point, is that basically, here we've been in negotiations, and we've had several of the fire departments, mainly in the eastern portion of the county, and Don Gaddy, I've known Don a long time and have utmost respect for Don. Whether he agrees with me or I agree with him is irrelevant. I look at him as being an honorable person who looked at this contract and his department decided to sign this agreement on good faith that this is what we were, we put out to them the other day, hopefully to alleviate their concerns that we were trying to take over the fire departments. We had that discussion. We added the language that they asked for, and Don, in good faith with us, signed it. Why we see these others that have not signed it for whatever reason is unknown to the board. But at some point in time, if they decide not to sign a contract, or if they decide that they're not going to do what we're asking and what they've agreed to and what they've just added little bits of language that we agreed to, we're going to have to provide fire service. We may be coming up against the real possibility that this board is going to have to provide fire services for people in western Union County, whether they're in incorporated areas or unincorporated areas, and we need to start preparing. If the longer we wait, the further behind we get. So if a fire department absolutely refuses to sign and decides they don't want to provide fire service for the under the terms that we asked, then there's going to have to be options. So, Jeff, the options, there's some severe options. There's some, that we don't want to do. We want to work with these fire departments. We want to continue the relationship that we have with these fire departments. But if the options on the table are redrawing districts, letting the municipalities do their take care of their fire services, and we take care of the outlying areas. All these things would take funding, would create hardships on some of the people in the municipalities. Because if you go to municipality only, you're going to have less parcels in that municipality. So the best thing for the fire departments, the best thing for the county, is to continue the relationships that we have with those volunteer fire departments, which is what we have said over and over again. But at the same time, a lot of this has been delayed because some municipalities may want to handle their own fire services, what we're being told. I know that there's been meetings. I've talked to the mayor of Henry Bridge, I've talked to the mayor of Stallings and the mayor of Indian Trail, and there have been discussions on whether or not they wanted to create a municipal taxing district. If they choose to do that, then the county needs to be prepared in that vein too, because there are some outlying areas that we may have to service one way or the other. So I'll support Commissioner Jerry Simpson's motion, because we do need to start being prepared, if nothing else. And I think his motion covers that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that during that 30-day period that we commit, and I hope the chiefs will commit to at minimum weekly meetings, if not multiple times a week, to get this to resolution. Because since October, the meetings were few and far between, and that's why we're here at the 11th hour. Because, and I'm not blaming anybody, but the fact of it is that it wasn't expedited the way it should have been. So I would ask that we ensure that these meetings happen, and I would also ask that there be some commissioner participation, maybe 2 commissioners that participate in that, and I'd like to volunteer to be one of those, to ensure that the board has representation.
I'll be very honest with you. At this point, the chief, we heard this morning that one of the fire departments, the board supported signing the contract, the chief supported signing the contract, but somebody said no. And I think we're at the point where we do need to get the municipalities that are considering going to a municipal tax district in a meeting. I think if we have a meeting, I think it needs to be everybody who can make a decision, so we all hear the same thing and we all hear the same information. So possibly before the 30 days is up, we hold a special meeting with the municipalities involved and do that. But I think we need to discuss that and decide it as a separate part of this. But it's time for decision makers to get together. The full boards of each fire department need to be here so they understand what's going on. I think what's happening is one person relays what they understand to be the facts, and another person relays what they understand to be the facts, and these board members are relying on information that may not be consistent with what the situation is. Yeah, I'm in agreement that we need to meet with everybody involved as bodies, as boards, and get this decided. But with the motion on the floor, any more discussion with the motion on the floor?
I do. Would Commissioner Simpson read the last part of your motion, please, regarding funding?
I can. I rambled a little bit, so part of it might not have been motion. Give me a second so I can make sure I read them on writing. How's that? The motion was to offer a 30-day extension of the proposed contract to those who have not signed. And there may be limited discussion with regard to changes, and those changes would also be offered to those who have already signed. I instructed staff to begin analysis of data to identify areas that would not be covered under any contracts, so that the county would be obligated to make sure that every citizen has fire service. And for any department that after the 30 days we have not been able to negotiate with, and so we don't have a contract with them, the current contract automatically renews, so they would be under contract until, I believe it would be July 1 instead of June 30 of next year, at which time the funding would be terminated. So they would have to find funding from another source.
The contracts run with the taxing districts on a fiscal year basis. So yes, it would terminate midnight on 6/30/17.
Was there something in there that?
My only concern is the termination of funding. During this whole process, one of the concerns that I have is in one of the sections, I understand there's 2 sections that are of concern. And one of the sections, which is the dissolution of assets, county staff agreed to the fire department language. And that was then changed again at the last minute, and now we're under a deadline. My concern with withholding funding is we put the citizens at risk. What I am completely in support of is your motion with the exception of the funding piece, but I would freeze funding again, and for any department that did not sign the contract, because I think this contract is the right thing to do for the taxpayers. It protects the taxpayers and protects the assets in Union County. I think 30 days gives us the opportunity to negotiate the last couple of items that are of concern. I just don't want to put residents at risk for a fire department that may not have the funds to provide service if they don't have a contract in place at the end of June 30th.
I think there's a misunderstanding. The way I understand it, and you tell me, Jerry, if I'm wrong, the way I understand it is not withholding. It's that we have to study, after the 30 days, if they choose not to sign, then we need to be getting a plan in place for the following year, not this year, but
They will be
for the
funded
following year.
through June. They will be funded with the contract they will have come July 1. They'll be funded as we've already approved.
Yes, you've already
budget
funded the
approved
tax
through
rates
year-
and the
through
and the
through
fee
next
rates.
year. So we've got a year and a few days
Correct. But
to
if they-
determine how we're going to how they're going to be funded.
But if we don't have a contract in place, or they don't have a contract in place by June 30th of 17, then the funding would terminate.
That's correct.
So then it becomes, we're going to terminate service basically for the residents if a municipality and a fire department cannot come to terms.
No.
I didn't say terminate. I said that we would find other
Right.
options
Yeah, we provide it.
relative to that department.
Well, I agree with Commissioner Lance Simpson. I would respectfully ask to drop that funding portion out of your motion, and let's move forward to this. Because it is funded through next year.
Right. But if you do, you basically tell them, then don't worry about it, we'll operate under the same contract from now on. And you're not giving any,
I think we've made that clear that we've got to do something different if there's not agreement.
Mr. Jerry Simpson?
I would make the point, we don't have a full board today, and I accept that as a friendly amendment. We have 30 days to negotiate. Hopefully, we can wrap all this up. If not, we have an opportunity to, I can bring it back and say, add the termination point.
Okay.
I will accept that friendly amendment and drop that to terminate, quote, terminate.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And that's.
We
all
have
business we
nothing else to bring before you this morning.
All right. Thank you very much. And motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None.